News.
Welcome back. This is Morning Express and we are talking office romance. Now, Matthew Hussey, a relationship coach that is always giving advice online and on YouTube, says that office romance could be good because it helps you understand somebody slowly over a long period of time, even years, and before you make a decision about that person, you will be able to understand them. But then sometimes this doesn't always work out. So with me, we are having some guests that are going to help us understand this. And Miss Omanyo, please tell us. You met your husband at work.
Yeah.
And you've told us that he even proposed.
Yes.
At a 10th anniversary party for your organization at work. Yes. Now, this is probably the very dream outcome for most people who get into such relationships. So could you tell us a bit about that and how it would work out for a couple?
Actually, we started by just having a cup of coffee.
Yes.
And he focused more on knowing me,
yes,
my background, why it is so important to me to work in that institution. And I thought it was professional because all he wanted to know is why I find it sweet,
yes,
enjoyable, waking up every morning, coming to work and things like that. He didn't just disclose right away why he wanted to know me more.
So it was more of a deep friendship.
Just friendship. And most of the times whenever we had issues at work, he would come to ask me,
yes,
what is it?
Okay.
How do I go about it? In your own opinion, how could you have solved this problem?
So the both of you were sort of, not relationship, but work allies.
Yes,
you
we were
have
best
each
friends.
other's backs.
And most of the times when he was down, he would call me and tell me, this is how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And I would tell him it's normal. It's normal to feel that way. Even me, I'm confused.
Right.
Let it just calm. Let it take its natural course,
yes,
way, and then we can come in and sit with the people involved, the partners involved, and ask how on their side we can help. And then now we come in and say, yes, we can do this or not. For a long time, we were really good friends. And many times he could trust me, and he just bonded with me beyond, you know,
the friendship.
So I reached a place I could see him as a person I equally can depend on to advise me as well. And he saw the same in me. So by the time he was even going down on his knee, I couldn't say no. It was a big yes.
Now, Mr. Vincent Akoka, you're a management and administration consultant. Now, I would like to know how organizations are working on tackling this issue, because it's not something that you can sweep under the rug. These relationships do happen. So what are organizations doing, or what can they do, and HR departments, to ensure that office romance go in the right way and don't fall apart and everybody's acting awkward and people are being fired from their jobs?
Yeah, from the HR perspective,
yes,
it is very important for the HR to organize for trainings of staff, so that they are taken through how to handle the office romance.
Right.
They work on the maybe employees' intelligence, emotional intelligence, so that should this occur, at what point can an employee possibly report to the line manager or the immediate supervisor, so that it doesn't turn into gossip,
yes,
that so and so is seeing each other.
So it should be done in a way that this could be brought to the knowledge of the administration,
yes,
so that this is not just office gossip and they're not hiding and running around, you know,
You're right,
behind their bosses' backs. Now, we are having incidences where we have two ladies dating the same guy in the same office. And Catherine, I believe you have dealt with such cases. Could you give us your experience and how this affects the work outcome, the productivity of those involved?
Actually, it happens whenever there is a dishonest person involved, because you can find, especially a man,
yes,
dating two ladies,
right,
and is really trying to balance and making it a secret at the same time. But it is very hard to keep a secret of love. Love is powerful.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can just start talking or physically, the way the lady is moving, the way the lady serves the man.
The dressing.
Exactly. So it doesn't take long. So at the end of the day, when the two ladies find out that they are actually seeing the same man, if they have gotten a training that is good, the way my colleague is saying here, then they won't start cat fighting at work. They will sit together and agree that this is the obstruction at work. They do away with the man. But unfortunately, where there is no training involved, counseling and guidance at work, the ladies might end up fighting, embarrassing themselves, and losing the job, because now the man or the boss will see that these ladies are unprofessional because they fought at work, and now that leads them to be fired. Looking into the source of the fighting. So unfortunately, most of the times, a victim has been the woman, and they lose the job, and nothing happens from there.
But let's flip the script, Mr. Akoka. What if the woman is the boss and the other person is a subordinate or somebody in lower ranking? How does that dynamic work, and does it always pan out to be something positive, or is there a power struggle?
Yeah, it depends on how the man handles himself professionally. Because if the lady in the office is your boss, and just because you are having a soft spot for each other, you assume her role, then you will make the office crumble, because things won't work. So you really have to.
Because we only have one boss, so who are you?
True.
I want to add on that. When the woman is the true power, the power behind the engine, most of the times you will find people who are uncomfortable, or the men who also are eyeing, they start gossiping. They start gossiping, and when gossiping begins, you know, but I think it is sweet when the woman is also the one in charge, to choose from the men who she wants to. Yes, but mostly because of our soft power, the women, even if you are the manager, you are the executive director, our soft power rules, you know, it gives a lot of psych. And even a man who could be wearing one suit every day, you would see them starting to change, looking confident, walking tall, and polishing up their English, the swag, you know, and then coming up with creativity at work. They become suddenly very innovative. I saw it even on my husband. He became very innovative because we looked like now he's also trying to beat me, and I'm also busy also trying to beat him. But it was so positive. Yes.
Right. Now, Mr. Akoka, what do you think of situations whereby gossip and relationships seem to be mutually exclusive at the workplace? If there's anybody catches wind of people dating at the workplace, the rumor mill just goes working immediately. So how do we deal with this? Because this eventually distracts from the main objective, which is work. These people are working, perhaps even working properly, they're respecting one another, but the fact that they're just dating creates this whole other distraction at the workplace. So what's your take on this, and how can it be handled?
Yeah, we cannot avoid gossip at workplace, and more so in an office.
Clearly.
But what I would advise is that if two people are dating, and people have gotten wind of it, and there is a lot of gossip going around, it is imperative for the man or lady to inform maybe the manager or the line supervisor, so that it is known. And for the parties involved, they should now go a notch higher and maybe actualize their relationship, so that they become a couple. To make
so
sure
that it's just in the open. There's nothing, because the secrecy is what makes it juicy, I guess, as far as gossip is concerned. So when it's out in the open, and but then there are HR departments that make it that once you report this to them, then they require one of you to quit the job.
That will depend. I would say, for instance, if it is me who is a man that has been eyeing a colleague of mine, a lady, and possibly the HR manager is a man, and he may also be having a soft spot for the same lady, then believe you me, I'll be fired. It's
a conflict of interest, you feel? But perhaps it's just a policy that they feel that once there's a relationship, then if you guys want to go on with this relationship, that somebody has to, just to avoid the issues that might crop up. Is this a preventative measure, you think? to avoid the awkwardness and the problems that come with relationships at work?
You can create boundaries, especially if they've come out and said we are seeing each other, not just at work, but on another level. We are involved in romance. A good boss will create boundaries for both. And if the institution is big enough, they can be separated.
Or perhaps transferred to
and
place.
even if they are in the same department, then once you create boundaries and they really respect each other, they are mature enough, they will follow those new code of conduct that befell on them. So they know if they don't do that, then they risk their jobs. Rather than sacking one person, because the Constitution also gives us rights. That's a conjugal need. If I'm really involved in love, I need support even from my boss. And if they become negative about it, even I won't work, because I'll be like, this is it. I'm happy. I'm in love. Why is my boss not happy for me? You know,
as long as you keep doing what you need to be doing at the workplace, and there's no negative input. Now, I'm thinking of situations where we are living in a digital era, and we have had stories of people engaging in certain activities, sexual activities, but then after a fallout, you're having compromising photos circulating or stories circulating in the work pool that are negative, and they tend to bring one of the two down because now you're angry and you want revenge. So the best way you feel is to pull them down.
I have to comment on that.
I'd like to.
You know, we have men, but they are boys.
Okay.
These boys who are grown up behave like that.
Yes.
Why should you, if we were really close
and in love,
and we were doing those silly sweet things together, why should you expose them just because we have parted ways? If you're mature enough, wish me well, I wish you well. Delete those things anyway, because I'm no longer your future. I am your past. So why are you dragging along my past with you, showing the world? That means it is you who's hurt and can't believe that a beautiful golden queen has left you. So this is so embarrassing. Exactly.
But then how does one deal with that? Because jobs are not things that we can just do without. How would a woman, and you as a gender activist, how would you advise a woman, or maybe a man even, because rumors could go either way, it could be the woman spreading the rumors, how would you advise either to tackle this problem?
Mostly just be careful, especially taking nude photos with anybody.
Don't do it.
Just don't do it. If they want to see it, let them see physically and not carry gadgets to take. Yeah, because some people are deal breakers.
This is true.
You just don't trust people. Why are they first in that relationship? You might not know. So somebody might have sent somebody to bring you down. And that is why they are rushing to show these nude photos. And it's the worst thing, especially in African culture. You can't just
it
look at it.
Breaks somebody down.
I think this is what I have to say about in the event that the relationship breaks up. My colleague has intimated that there are men who are boys. And I would like to say a big no.
Really?
I think it is ladies who are still girls, and maybe because ladies get involved seriously, emotional about a relationship.
But this is the nature of a woman.
Now, what I have to say is this. If you get into a relationship, know that there are consequences. And should there be consequences, and one of which is now that you have broken up the relationship, you should develop thick skin and move on.
No.
I mean, in real instances, the people who spill the beans that I was dating ABCD are normally ladies, not even men.
Really?
Yeah.
I would argue.
It is mostly. And who kills who? Very fast.
I think you're outnumbered on this one, because sometimes it's also for bragging rights. Some people would want to say it so that they can have some clout before their colleagues. Though whoever does it, there is still a question of how to handle it. So what do you think is the right way to handle one scorned half of the relationship that has broken up, going to lengths that are inappropriate for the workplace and for their colleague? How would
First of all, just accept it.
Yes.
Yeah, because that is my face, that is me. I was with him, I was involved.
Yes.
And unfortunately, that is how he wanted the world to know. But I forgive him.
Yes.
And he's a great man. I wish him well.
Yes.
Just accept it. The more you start denying and giving
And feeling
excuses,
bad.
oh no, you see, it makes it even worse. And
Yes.
because there are so many idle people out there,
Right.
they will really take that for a topic.
Advantage.
I think
Yeah,
other than
Mr.
just
Koka, yeah.
accepting it, that yes, this has happened,
has happened.
it is also
It
good
has fallen apart.
to take time and understand who you are as a person.
Yes.
So that should you make a next move, you will be making a move that will have results.
Yes.
Not just for the sake of it.
Yes, and I want to take a poll. So in general, should it be done or should it not be done, especially from a management point of view? What do you think? Is the risk worth the result?
Yeah, the risk is what the results. It is important because you cannot avoid people dating.
Yes.
And if there is a breakup,
Yeah.
then you really have also to support these people or the affected party,
Yes.
maybe psychologically.
That's it.
So that the person can walk over it and recover.
Yeah, and in some instances, we are talking about a work pool of 10 people, and in some certain companies, we are talking about a work pool of 300 or hundreds, for example, in this organization. So when you're dealing with this problem, for the small workspace, it's particularly difficult for that individual
difficult.
to be walking in and seeing that their ex every
there,
other day. He's
seated
right there.
there,
Yeah,
yes.
it's not like there are hundreds of offices. So how would you advise dealing with it, seeing your reality and of that reality, and especially if it's not worked out?
It's really tough. It's like walking pretty in a borrowed dress.
Yeah.
Because when you are emotionally involved, you can't believe it because you are seeing
Yes.
this relationship
It's
doing
basically
very
you
well.
took a risk hoping for some
Exactly.
good
So
results.
I think many organizations have a department for also counseling.
Counseling, yeah.
Many do it now, and especially if you had made it public and
Yeah.
it's no longer happening.
Yeah.
You move in very fast and counsel so that we don't waste a lot of time
Yes.
on mourning or grieving, especially those
Yes.
who
It's
were
basically grieving.
deeply involved
Yeah.
in the love. So best thing is to counsel, and if you have been doing trainings habitually,
Yes.
then maturity level now counts
Is
there.
higher.
Yeah. If the two are really mature, they will focus on the job and appreciate each other and say, we tried.
Yeah,
Yes.
and to speak for those who are against dating in the work pool, the same relationship coach, Matthew Hussey, does suggest that sometimes when you're working in a boring workplace and the one person that is slightly interesting might seem a 10 when they would otherwise be a 6 outside. So he suggests that just don't do it, just date outside, because sometimes your perceptions might be skewed. And they also, for lack of a better phrase or analogy, they say don't poop where you eat.
Yeah, just don't do it.
Don't
Because
do
if you
it,
tried it and it didn't work and you saw how negative
It could be.
it affected
And
everybody.
imagine trying more than once and then having 3 exes in the same work pool. I mean,
But I think we have to get
Yes,
one thing
Mr.
clear here is as much as it is said that don't date where you work,
yes.
I think it's more of to those who are already couples.
Who are
if I'm
already
already
couples,
married,
yeah.
why should I date where I'm working? But if they're young graduates, the young people who have just come in, and that is gives them an opportunity
Right.
to meet. I mean, we should encourage, but they should ensure that they demarcate their lines,
Yeah.
they do their work professionally,
Yes.
So that their intimacy does not affect.
Yes. And how about, I know of an example of a video editor and a reporter who met in the workplace, got married, and today they went out and combined forces and started their own organization that is doing pretty well. What do you feel about this sort of outcomes, Mr.
Now, those are some of the benefits
Yes.
of professionals meeting at the workplace, and then the relationship matures into marriage, because you can now go out there and start a company that will thrive, because both of you understand the job ethics, you are professionally trained in that area, so it works well, other than having people from 2 different worlds coming together and trying
together.
form something.
Yeah.
So actually I would support.
Yeah. So I guess that brings forth an understanding of each other's strengths, each other's weaknesses, perhaps how you can combine your forces and having a cohesive organization or a company that can result in something even profitable for your pockets, aside from the other profits that come with it. What do you feel about them going together out into the world and just prospering?
I think it's a good thing because this particular couple understood their personal relationship and understood their personal needs from each other at work first before they moved out.
Right.
Once you know what I want from you and you know what you want from me, then it brings our bond even stronger because that way we will be gearing towards achieving the same objective.
Yes.
So, and that again comes back to maturity.
Maturity, and
because if people really understand each other well, no matter what happens, even if they had fights before now even walking down the aisle, there is a way they could solve it and know when we are at work, this is how we behave. And when we are in our bedroom, this is how we behave. So such people, I recommend them. They should be role models in any place and even give their inspiration to others who are doing it so that we don't have drama at work.
Now, finally, before we wrap this discussion out, of course, there's those good stories and there are bad outcomes. Now, when you're thinking of somebody who's feeling bullied following a relationship that did not work out, what are some of the avenues that they can pursue to ensure that they at least get some justice? Not really justice, but, you know, they can survive the whole fiasco. Because work is not something that you can just drop when things go wrong. So sometimes they have to hold on to jobs, but then they're going through some sort of bullying because somebody is not happy or somebody is feeling scorned. So what would your advice be for such an individual?
It's always good to talk about things. At work, it is important to know who you can always run to whenever you're not okay, things are not going well, if a relationship has gone bad, there is always this person you always talked to. So if you have somebody you can always talk to at work, even your boss, and that is why it's important to have a good relationship with your boss. Just tell your boss, I was dating so and so, and I'm sorry it's not working and it's affecting me a little. A good boss will give you even a leave that month or a week or two. Then you go and figure out well and come back freshened up. So always just speak out. Most people suffer silently. And when you suffer silently, that means you're not doing the job well.
You're not working, you're not doing what you need to be there.
Even to make it worse, you are bullied by people who knew about it.
That is it.
And now they make you a victim. And the perpetrator, whoever was playing games, is not even mentioned. And mostly, like he said, women go in with all their heart and all the emotions involved. It makes it harder because even coming out of it takes time.
It takes time, particularly for women. Mr. Okoka, what is your take on how to handle a fallout?
How to handle a fallout, I would say that one has to be strong. One has to really get to know who he or she is. So that, and one has to take time before you get into another relationship. But I would say today, young people imagine that if I date a girl or a lady, I invite her for a cup of coffee once, twice, thrice, then we are into a relationship. That is not.
That is not a relationship.
You even need to say, I love your nose. I mean, the art of seductiveness is no longer there among the youth. They don't know. They just imagine that since now I'm with this person, this day, the following day, the following week, now this person should give in. That is not the case. You need to at least ensure that you relax your opposite, in this instance, the lady, with some nice lines.
Some lyrics.
Some lyrics must be thrown into the mix. That wraps up our discussion.
I don't know what you think, but they say that the best place to meet your spouse is either at a friend's party, in church, or at your place of work. Do you agree?
Yes, because you always see this person. You have started studying her and maybe dating him and knowing him better and creating that
rapport,
positive relationship.
Right.
So it is easier to tell this in this person I don't like, but I can do with this, and this we can negotiate on how.
A more reasonable judgment as to what their character and all that. But interesting. And of course, interesting to see also how some people handle the disagreement, because if we are working, then how do you draw the line between the profession and the relationship? But of course, that's a discussion that continues. But thank you for joining us this morning and making it clear, because I do know a few people who've gotten their relationships at work,
and they've worked out, right?
Yes, some of them have worked out, some of them didn't work out too well, but there you go. I guess that's the nature of the relationships.
That is it.
That's where we wind up the show, and thank you very much for joining us. Thank you also for watching and participating in the show. We take this opportunity to wish you all a fantastic day, and from a crew that ensures that Morning Express happens every single morning from Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. We say thank you for watching. God bless. Have a good day.